Hello and welcome to Thoughts Can Heal podcast. I am your host, Denise Lynn, and I just want to thank you for taking a few minutes out of your precious day to spend with me. So in today's podcast, I want to ask you a question. And I actually know that when this question was asked from me, it has really changed my life in such a wonderful and positive way, and I want the same thing for you. So the question I want to ask you today is, what do you want out of life? What do you really want for your life? Now, I don't know if you've read my book, Thoughts Can Heal, 30 Daily Practices to Help Heal Anxiety, but it's a very simple book. And this is one of the practices that I share. And I ask the readers to write out in detail what they want for their life in all areas, from health and fitness, spirituality, to financially, everything, all areas of your life. What do you want? And the reason it's so important for me to ask you this question is that if you're like me, and most people are this way, we spend so much time focusing on what's going wrong in our life or what we're lacking that we want. And unfortunately, the more time we spend focusing on the things that aren't going good in our life or the lack of the things that we want in our life, it only creates more of the same. So more of the same negative emotions and more lack. But when we focus our attention and our thoughts on the things that we do want, and we stop doing that thing that we shouldn't do, worrying about the things that we don't have and such, when we focus on the things that we do want, it helps us manifest these things, and it brings these things into our life. And that's pretty magical. And the truth is, everything we have in our life up until this point, everything that you have in this life up to this point of listening to me right now, you have manifested. We are always manifesting, whether we know it or not. And I know a lot of people might say, well, you know what? I don't believe that. How can somebody manifest bad health? There are certain circumstances, genetics that we have no control over, but primarily what's going on in your life, your bank account, actually probably a majority of our health, the relationships that we have in our life, we have manifested those. And the good news is when you begin to become aware of this, you can begin to manifest the things that you do want in your life. And you do that by asking that question. Asking yourself that question that I just asked you. What do I really want? So today, it's actually the weekend here where I am. It's a Saturday. And I'm actually rewriting I actually have a name for mine that I got from my mentor. It's called the Power Life Script. And my mentor, Peggy McCall, has taught this to her students. And basically what you do is you sit down, and it's like the first thing we should all be doing. We should all have a script for our life of the things that we want, the relationships that we want, the health that we want, and how we're going to achieve it. And focusing on the things that we want, again, are going to bring them into your life. But if you don't know what you want, and you're just going along on autopilot, the truth is you can create your life. You're creating it already. Might as well create something that you're going to love. So the Power Life Script, I'm going to leave a link in case you want to check it out, from Peggy McCall. Basically, you ask yourself that question, what do I really want? And you sit down. And when I first did this, and I mentioned this in my book, Thoughts Can Heal, when I was asked that question, I really didn't have an answer. And I was, at that time, probably I would say I was about 40, 41 years old. And I write in the book, I knew I wanted to earn more money. I knew I wanted to maybe lose a few pounds and pay off some debt, but I had never really, dove deep into asking myself that question. So it wasn't easy. I mean, it took me weeks to just start contemplating that thought and until I finally sat down and wrote it out in detail. And today, again, it's a Saturday, and I love to do this on Saturdays, and it's kind of rainy out. So I'm actually recording this from my bed with my computer, with all my notes, and I'm rewriting my Power Life script. Because it's always good to change things up, and we're always growing, so we're always wanting to add other things. I'm actually able to cross off a lot of the things that I have written, like they've already shown up in my life, which is awesome. Even doing this podcast was just once an idea, once a thought, and something that I wrote in my script, and here it is. And here I am almost, 3 years later, enjoying this podcast so much. Vacations that I've been on in the last couple of years, I wrote all these things, I wrote it out in detail, like what I wanted to experience, and I've experienced them. And also increase in finances and health and happiness and just contentment and, these things. And, if you are new to my podcast, I want to welcome you. But if you have listened to a few, my goal is to help people reduce stress, to help people's nervous systems calm down, and also ultimately help people live a happier, more abundant life. And a lot of people think that abundance is just finance, money. It's not. To me, abundance is having my kids over for dinner, having my children all around me, happiness, my animals, my relationship, all these things. Health, as long as they're healthy, that's abundance. Waking up this morning, oh my goodness, we are so abundant. The fact that we have clean water and we have utensils to cook with, and these things, clothes, if you have a roof over your head, those things that makes you abundant, and also definitely having more money is a wonderful thing in my mind, because you can help other people, and also you don't always have the stress of worrying about, your next meal, and that's important. And I think it's a huge lie, of the centuries of saying that money is the root of all evil. It is definitely not. So in any case, I invite you today or within the next 24 hours to sit down and just start thinking, what do I want in all areas of your life, and write it out. And the reason you write it out is because you're going to read this script every single morning and every evening before you go to bed. And the reason you want to do it is because those 2 times are so important, because that's when our subconscious mind is open to receiving. So, you want to have good thoughts before you go to bed, of course. And right when you wake up, you want to start imprinting these positive new ideas into your subconscious mind. And the benefit will be that you'll start reaping them. And it's very important also when you're writing these things to write it in the present tense as if it's already happened. And a lot of people aren't very comfortable with that, because they're like, oh yeah, I'm writing that I have all this money in the bank and the money is really not there. Well, start focusing on it being there. Start feeling. Feeling is the secret. Feel what it would feel like to have these things that you are desiring. You have to fuse with the feeling of it. You can't just merely write it out and read it, monotone. You've got to put emotion into it, and you've got to close your eyes and ask yourself every single day, what would it feel like if I had that? And one thing I just recently came across was this quote from Abraham, and I'm going to read it real quickly. And Abraham said, I stopped worrying about having the thing I didn't have and started finding the feeling of why I wanted it. And as I focused on the feeling of it, it was as if I already had it. And then, before I turned around, it was there. I think that's beautiful. I actually have this on a little Post-it right next to my bed, and I've been reading it every day because it's true. We need to have little reminders, maybe little notes, or I have a journal that I take quotes from and stick them in this. It's actually a folder, and every day I read it and it raises my vibration. It reminds me to do these things. It reminds me that it's so important because I have these quotes that say it. We become what we think about, That's a whole premise for this. The name of the book and the name of this podcast, Thoughts Can Heal, is because I came to a realization that my thoughts are actually harming me and causing me anxiety. And when we change the thoughts, we really change our life. So it's very important to, at first, just become aware of what we're thinking and to realize that we're not our thoughts, and we don't have to believe all the thoughts. And we have nearly 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day, and most of them are negative or repetitive. But we can control what we entertain, and we can start thinking deliberately about what it is that we want. Write it out in detail. Go crazy with it. This is your life, and you are the creator of your life. All right. That's my message for today. I have some really good news. I have just opened an online yoga and abundance studio. It's called Yoga and Abundance Zenden. It's an online studio. I'll be sharing live weekly classes, beginner's yoga, restorative yoga, chair yoga, and regular hatha yoga. And also, I'll be sharing weekly classes and live classes on manifesting, abundance, personal development, all that good stuff, because that's what I love to share. And if that sounds like something that's up your alley, I am offering a 7-day free trial. I'll leave a link in the show notes. And after that, it will be $29.95 a month for the membership. But again, you're getting at least 5 different classes per week, and then a whole library of all my pre-recorded classes. And I have some courses that I'm going to be doing in there and some challenges, and I'm really excited about it. So if that's something you're interested in, check out the show notes. All right. Excuse me. Well, that's it for today, but as always, let's go ahead and end with a couple deep breaths just to calm our nervous systems down today. And I just want to bring some relaxation into your mind and into your heart. So as long as you're not driving, find a comfortable place to either sit or lie down. And if you can, place your left hand over your heart and then place your right hand over your left hand. Relax your forehead. Relax your jaw. Make sure your spine is straight if you're sitting. Let your shoulders drop. And we're going to take 10 deep breaths into our heart. So I want you to imagine as you're inhaling in through your nose, you're inhaling into your heart space. And as you exhale out, you're exhaling from the heart space. So you're bringing love in and you're sending love out. Let's begin. Inhale. Exhale love. Inhale. Exhale love. Now do this at your own pace. 8 more. For the last few breaths, let your exhale extend a little bit longer than your inhale. Two more. Okay, my dear friends. And also, excuse me, I will be also sharing some meditations in that online course. So you really are going to get a lot of value. And even if you're someone that's not into yoga, but you're into personal development, it's definitely going to be worth it to join in. Again, 7-day free trial. So check it out. And it also helps support this podcast and all the other work that I do. All right, until next time, I hope everyone stays well. Get to writing. Get to writing out what do you want, because you can have it. All right, until next time, namaste.